Hari Om. Welcome all to the 15th Reading Challenge Winners Interview. Reading. Reading is actually for the people who wants to rise above the ordinary. Reading opens the doors of the world to us. Books are of different types. We have story books, fantasy books, adventure books, motivational stories, inspirational stories. There is autobiographies. There is no dearth of the varied topics which is available for us. Different children are interested in different topics, and each topic opens a different door and a different topic for us. We come to know so many things and we learn many things. When we are keen to learn, there is nothing to stop us, and books is the best means for us. Books are supposed to be our best loyal friend. That is why reading habit is in fact insisted and inculcated in the children of Achieve Academy. Achieve Academy sees to it. It improves the vocabulary and the communicative skill of the child. Not only that, it develops the confidence of the child. The child is holistically developed to have confidence in every walk of life. So we are here to talk about the winners of the reading challenge. What is the scene behind the reading challenge? What has been their thought process? The way, how they've planned, how they have worked towards winning this reading challenge titles. So we are here with the children of the winners of the reading challenge. We have Devinan. Hi. We have Kirti Bhagyashri.
Hello.
We have Nanda. And we have Ashwika. Thank you for joining us, children. So the first question to you is, what is your experience of participating in the reading challenge? Devinan?
So my experience in participating in the reading challenge is the fact that reading challenge is something that is to be enjoyed, where you read a lot of books, you keep going through all of them, and you write the briefs into Gmail, and then you send it. It's basically a very easy process, and it's something very fun and to be enjoyed.
True. So thank you so much. What about you, Nanda?
My experience was actually fun because I was able to learn new words, new vocabulary, and many other books that I did not know when I was reading. And basically, it also gave me a lot of values.
That's so true. Yes. Books does give us many life lessons and life skills. Thank you, Nanda. That was wonderful. What about you, Kitty?
So when it comes to reading challenge, I feel like it's the best challenge I have ever took, because while we see the stories, we may think that this is hard, but even though when we read, it may look easy for the people who read, but it is difficult to to make it crisp and short, and also take the main points and write it, because sometimes the story may be very big, the main points may be so big, but the content may be little bit big, so we have to shrink it and make a very crisp and good brief. Even though we make these, they should be a very perfect brief to make this work. Then only we can be accepted as the winner. Even we write so much books, but it doesn't have a correct brief. I feel like this is a very competitive competition, but we should have the competitive spirit actually.
Okay. So that's her experience of participating in the reading challenge. Let's ask Ashwika. Ashwika, can you let us know? Kindly.
My experience in reading challenge is, first of all, I thank Mahamam to give me a chance to participate in this, because this is my first interview, and I am happy to know that I am a participant in this challenge. I enjoyed a lot, and after in this reading challenge, I improved the skill of reading books. Before and all, I don't even know to tell 7 words. After starting reading books, now I am able to tell many words.
Thank you, Ashwi. This reading challenge is actually a real challenge for children because it's not only reading books, in a matter of time where you give them a lot of time and you have to read books. They learn, you have to plan it properly. You have to see to it that you do it within the stipulated time. There's something doing within a given time is actually very difficult. So it needs a lot of pre-planning, which the children, when you give them a challenge, it is not only books which they're doing, it develops the other qualities also, like planning, doing it on time, submitting it on time, doing the briefs correctly. And of course, in turn, they take away learning many things. Thank you, children, for your beautiful answers. My next question is to Divinan. What is the best book you've read so far for reading challenge or for anything? What is the best book you've read so far?
The best book I've read so far is Prince with a Paintbrush. This book is about India's greatest painter, Raja Ravi Verma. He is my favorite artist and always will be.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Kirti Bhagishri?
For me, my favorite book is A Boy and Going Solo, which is done by Roald Dahl. I really like this book as it is the autobiography of Roald Dahl. Ever since I was a small child, I was so eager to know about his life. But when my father's sister bought me the two books, I just got so inspired by it. And one book was bought by you when we went for a trip. I actually really admired the both of the books as it all says about the difficult and the obstacles which have been done by which Roald Dahl crossed, as he was in the Air Force while he was trying to attack Russia with a bomb in World War II. He accidentally, he crashed his plane, and also he had a fracture in his leg and his leg was broken. But even though he joined the army after a few months, and also he retired from there after a few years. And after that, he joined some jobs, and that time he got influenced and started to write stories. He also got some failures, but even though we have to try again and again to succeed.
Thank you, Kirti. Yeah, what an inspiring person. What about you, Nanda?
My favorite book was one of the stories I read from the Sudha Murthy book. And the story is the story is I don't remember the name, but it's actually a story which tells us that not to be greedy and to make sure that we don't to make sure that our greed does not take over us to help others.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Ashwi?
The best book which I read so far is The Wise Prince, because this tells us the moral values which we should learn in our life by stories, like what they will do in olden days. So I like this story, and I learned many moral values from this book.
Oh, thank you. So this is our 15th reading challenge. And I have to tell you that all the 15 interviews, what we have done with the children, brings in fresh experiences and fresh thoughts. None of their thoughts and learning are repeated. They learn every time, they improve every time, they mature every time in the way they express, the way they talk, and the way they have adapted and absorbed whatever they have read. That's a beautiful aspect of children, and it's just a pleasure to hear them talk about their experiences. Moving on to our third query to Divinith. So, which book inspired you and captivated you, Divinith?
So again, it's the same book, Prince with a Paintbrush. It inspired me a lot and made me think a lot about art to be one of the most relaxing things in the world. The reason it captivated me is because of all the tons of awesome art inside the book.
Okay. What about you, Kirti?
So for me, there are two choices. One is Amar Chitrakatha and another is Sudha Murthy's The Man from Egg. These both are like mythological books, which I learned a lot. More than Sudha Murthy's book, I really admired Amar Chitrakatha. because it is very like comfortable for children, as they don't see the dialogues, they just see the images and they know what is going to happen by seeing the scenes. So it's like a kind of a movie where a child is not seeing the television, which will hurt her eyes or his eyes, and it makes the child to feel like it's a movie where frame by frame it's going on. Like I was a small child, I used to read Amachitra Katha books. Even for this reading challenge, I may read a plenty of authors like Charles Dickens or Roald Dahl's book. I actually read most of 98% of 100% have read Amachitra Katha books because it was easy for me to figure and write it quickly, and also it was a little like I already know the story, so I could make it up and make it short and crisp.
Thank you. What about you, Nanda?
The book which captivated me and inspired me was the second story in my Sudhamurthy book, which is Kaveri and the Thief. So it told about how a person was like used her clever mind to make sure that the thief does not steal anything from her, since her husband was lazy and she was the only one who was doing the work. So what interested me and captivated me in this was it taught us moral values like to work hard, to never give up, and to always be clever so that you can defeat others, and also to make sure that you don't go down even if people are telling that you are very bad.
Wonderful, wonderful. Beautiful morals learned. Thank you, Nanda. So what about you, Ashwita?
Book which inspired me and captivated me is the Wise Prince by the Wise Parrot by Ruskin Bond, because it tells us the moral that if anybody is trying to help us, but we should never be greedy. And also, first starting it was boring, so I asked mother that no mom, I don't need to read, but my mother told don't leave your book, read and see whether it is interesting, and from that I thought that okay, ending will be interesting, and from that I was reading it lot, but I didn't even do it for my reading challenge, but it's my inspired book.
Okay, inspiring book. Okay, thank you so much. That's really nice. We are going for the next question to Divinan. So, by far, who's your favorite author? Why? Why do you like
My
that?
favorite author is Enid Blyton. Even though in this reading challenge, I haven't written any books on him, I have done in my previous ones. And once you've read one of his books, you can't stop. The one I have read is Five Go on a Carrot. Enid Blyton is an amazing children's book author and will always be my favorite.
Thank you. Thank you. What about you, Nanda?
My favorite author is actually J.K. Rowling, because I like the Harry Potter series. And in every single book which she has written, it actually tells about everything which Harry Potter does and tells us many other moral values.
Okay. What about you, Kirti Bageshri?
So for me, APJ Abdul Kalam, he may be thinking that he may be a president, he may be a scientist, he have worked in ISRO. He also have wrote several autobiographies about himself. And the incidents which he learned was like a story about a normal man, and also it has every single moral in even a single line. Good author, as I read, may not be for children, but when you read, you will think that it's actually for children. When I started to read, I learned a lot, and I thought that he should be my first inspiration, actually. He inspired me, and it was my first chapter book which I have ever reviewed in my life. And every time I review,
Okay. There has been some disturbance in her internet, so that's why we are not able to hear her voice very clearly. So APJ's autobiography has been her great inspiration. So we can move on to Ashwita. Ashwita, can you let us know who's your favorite author and why?
My favorite author is Ruskin Bond because he gives many interesting stories and I learn many morals from him. Like we should earn hard work and we should never lose our hope. Like many things which inspired me. And also when he's still now more than 60, but now he's giving many interesting stories to us. So every children like and he is writing stories which children can understand easily.
Thank you, Ashwika. We must really appreciate the way the children is able to analyze about the story or about the author and his life story and how was he able to write such stories and why he has done so. This analyzing habit, the child really helps them in many ways in their daily lessons or in their future life-taking skill, decision-making skills or anything. Thank you, children, for your wonderful answers. So let's go for the next query. So this is just a general question. Do you plan ahead for the reading challenge or it's always a last minute rush? Okay, oops. Oh, tomorrow is the last date. Amos told me to submit it. Okay, let me do it. Or I have my parent over here yelling at me. Okay, let me do it. Okay, it's always like that or it's no. It's always the planned effort. You
Also,
can
the reading challenges, it's like a preparation. You get the review, you get the briefs ready and keep it in some kind of folder. And then once reading challenge is started, you will be ready with all your briefs and you can just copy and paste and send it and go. It's basically a very easy method and it's a technique that I personally use.
yes, but it's easy, but still you have to read and you are only writing the brief. So that requires a lot of planning and time management. What about you, Kitty Bageshwari?
so first, as I said that I have a competitive spirit. The night 4 days before the reading challenge, ma'am has sent the timings and when it will stop and when it will start. So when I saw the next second, I have to go to my bed as my mother warned me to go. So I went to bed. My parents were they woke up and they were doing their work. So then I remembered APJ Abdul Kalam's quote: "Dream is not the one which comes while you sleep; it's the one which never lets you sleep." Yeah, I thought that why APJ Abdul Kalam actually told this. It's reminding me in my mind more than 100 times. Okay, come on. Okay, let's just prepare 5 leaves at least. So I went to and sat in my table. I started to search for books, and I went to the digital Amar Chitrakatha books because I finished my writing my Amar Chitrakatha's briefs in my notepad. So then I started to collect more books, and I have kept ready not 5 briefs, more than 15 briefs. So after this, I know that I'm having a function the next day. So I kept it ready. It was like the first day I gave 7 briefs and I then started to send more than more. And finally, I am very happy that I have written 29 books actually.
29 briefs. Yeah. Thank you, Kitty. So what about you, Nanda?
I always plan ahead. So first I make sure that I choose right books and then I start reading those books and then I keep on writing those. So once I finish 10 books, I make sure that I read the next 10 books. And then when the reading challenge starts, I send the first 10 books and then once I finish reading the other 10, I send those.
That's very good. Yeah. Yes. What about you, Ashwika?
First of all, before few days before itself, I know that ma'am sent it's a reading challenge. So I started planning and nearly wrote till 7 stories and I kept it. After that, I was not rushing. My mother asked, "Why don't you do one story?" I told mom, I made more than 5. So she helped me to type. Then I was not rushing in time because I already made before. So I was doing, and it was finally the last day. So I was not able to do because I was not free. So till that I made how many I could do, but I was not rushing.
Okay, very good. So nobody was rushing against time. That's very good. It's very good. Always a planned, well-planned effort raise rich dividends. That's why you're all here today. So we have one more question. I have two more actually. So the first one to Divinan. So what do you feel is the positive aspect of reading challenge?
So, what I feel is a positive aspect is that it allows children to open up their minds to books, and they include all their time and concentration into reading them. And like I said before, once children get reading a book, they can't stop ever. And maybe even if someone reminds them, they'll just keep on reading like nothing ever happened. Reading a book is basically something great can happen when you read a book. What I feel is the positive aspect is that it allows you to open up, communicate, and learn, and you learn a lot about verbal communication.
Thank you. What about you, Kirti?
So for me, the positive aspect of reading challenge is none other than, like, even if we read or even if we do something, we should have a competitive spirit, or and let it be any spirit. You should have a hardworking spirit, a smart work spirit, and also, even though you have to have a lots of books, you should have an interest mainly. If you have an interest to read books, you could even read 100 books in a day. When I got the interest, I was able to read 5 books. Even if I read it more than 100 times also, I have the interest to read again and again, like I'm opening the book for first time. I have more than 100 books in my shelf, where every day I take one book and read. My mother used to ask me what I want to do by reading a book. I used to say that while I read book, I could learn new things. Later, when it turns into an imaginary book, I can improve my imaginary skills. When it turns into a communication book, it will help me to communicate with the people who I meet newly. So she was like, it was a notes cut speech for her, and she was like dumb after hearing this one. So I would like to say that reading challenge, let it be anyone, at least write a 5 briefs, because it will help you to know how good you are on English. Thank you.
English. Okay, thank you. What about you, Nanda?
So the positive aspect is first I'll be able to learn more about organization and planning, and then next is the vocabulary, like a lot of new words. Then in most of the books which I read, I get new moral values.
True. What about you, Ashwi?
The positive aspect of reading challenges, if we read, we will get more skills of reading and like vocabulary. If we write that, in our opinion, it will be like we are writing our own story, or we are writing something opinion for children to know about something, or introduction about a story. First of all, when I joined, when it was the first reading challenge, I told my mother that no, mom, I can't do because it's tough. We don't try our best. From that, I started that I'm here to do, because it motivated me and made me interest to do.
Thank you so much. We have something which goes on regularly in our academy where children submit book reviews. So book reviews not only talks about the books, I mean the story, that is just part of it. It talks about their opinion. What did they feel when they read the book? Okay, what did they feel about the author? How he has characterized, how each character is behaving, what type of thing did attracted them, what type did not attract them. They don't like the book, they don't like it, that's all. But they like it, they like it. So that's what they share their true opinion to their friends who are motivated to read more books. So this is my last question to all of you. So to Devinan. So what are the one or two tips which you can give where you can motivate children to read?
So one thing I would say for children to start reading is if you get a book reading habit, then you should start with some of the interesting books. Some of the books with easy grammar, ones that you can understand, and then slowly can advance to the hard ones. And you'll just keep learning on and on, going a step higher every time, which it might sound slow, but slow and steady wins the race.
True, true. Yes, Kirti, thank you there, Devi. Yeah.
So for me, my tips which I'm going to give to kids who newly joined and they really want to improve in their reviews. So I would like to say that you read whatever you read whatever you like, but once you step onto it, let it be even a 1 centimeter step. You should not come back. When you start, you should not come back, because if you come back, you will not get the interest to read another book. It will turn into a practice. Like you're taking first one book and reading it. The first chapter itself you reviewed. Already you reviewed. And you didn't like the second chapter, so you're taking a new book. That's what every children does. I have seen, even I have done when I was a small girl. I came into the middle chapter of a book where I lost my interest as I was blank for a few days. And after that, I took a new book where that also I stopped. It became a practice. Now I have to take a single book, I have to finish it, complete it, and take my favorite book. When you read, you should have, when you read, you should not just tell the story. The second tip which I'm telling, you should first plan who is your favorite character, why do you like the story, what's the main part of the story, and at last 2 to 3 lines of the story, and just end it. The book you choosing, it should not only be your favorite, it should be others' favorite also.
Yeah, we can try to make it others' favorite, but each one's likes and dislikes are different. So thank you for your tips for making them read. What about you, Nanda?
My tip is to you have to plan ahead so that you can write all the books, you can write all the book reviews, and then is to make sure you take appropriate books for your age.
Ashwita, so how do you motivate children to read? Actually, not only talking
First
about.
of all, we can have a timing by bedtime reading. At least 10 minutes if you read, you can start reading and you will get the habit of reading, so that it will be easy for you to read the advanced book. And then next thing what I'm trying to tell you, that first don't try to make an advanced book. Start from a lower book. It might be LKGs, but start from it. Then the code which I like to tell is, first let you practice to walk before you run. So first you practice to do a small easier thing, then you can go to harder. If it is also so easier, it is okay, but just practice to do easier, then go to harder.
Thank you so much. They have told you actually so many points. They've told you to take small baby steps, take interesting books. So once you start reading, don't take a step back. Try to learn, pick up stories where you plan to read something, and don't, squash your plan. Just go ahead with it. And you can take even simple books. Don't think you're in fourth standard. How can I take a small moral story of of a standard child or something? Don't think about all that. Nobody is going to judge you on what you're going to do, but you're taking small steps to achieve something bigger in the future. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful lesson told in there. I think very simple language, but you can actually understand the people who are watching the interview, the depth what the children have actually spoken. I don't even know whether they are aware what they have spoken is even. I think even elders cannot speak so beautifully. So kudos to you, children, and it's always a winning and applause, and always an appreciation for all of you for all your hard work and planning. Yes, planning is something which we have to have in our life, and time is essential. Cannot be even a single minute cannot be wasted. You can all feel very happy that you're using your time fruitfully. You're reading something and you're not wasting your time in unnecessary things. So that's really, I'm really proud of you. Kudos to you all for more such victories. Thank you so much. Hari Om.